Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I am Tanya Jarrett, and I'm with the Penn Medicine Lancaster General Health's Corporate Wellness team. And I'm really excited to introduce to you my colleague and my friend and health educator, Liz Krantz, who is bringing us her expertise in mindfulness so that we can gain the tools we need to not only take care of ourselves, but to also feel emotionally connected with our children in an authentic way during this crazy time. So Liz, I'm going to pass it over to you and have fun.
All right. Thanks, Tanya. And I do thank you for hosting. I really appreciate it. And I welcome all of you and thank you for joining this webinar this evening. As Tanya said, I am her colleague and I work in corporate wellness, which I love to do. And I've been a health educator for a little while now. But I want to tell you a little bit more about myself too. I have two sons, so I'm a parent. I have a 17-year-old who is a senior in high school this year, and I have a sophomore in college. So they're navigating their way forward through this time, and I'm doing that as well. I'm also a teacher and have been an elementary school teacher for over 20 years, working with children from kindergarten through 6th grade primarily. And I'm currently working in the Conestoga Valley School District. So I care a lot about this topic and I care about your well-being and all of our collective well-being because we're all navigating our way forward through this time of great uncertainty. And it's an unusual time because it's been like this for months. And as much as we hear things about the new normal and just being able to move through each day, it's stressful. And so we're all in this together, and yet we are alone in that our unique circumstances are true for our individual selves. And depending on who you are and the ages of your children and your home circumstances and your work circumstances, your stress looks different than mine, just as my stress looks different from yours. So we're alone, but we're together, but we're alone and we're together. So no matter who we are, we're going through this in our own unique way. So what do we know? We know that coping with uncertainty is stressful. We know that it's important to take care of ourselves, but we don't always know the best way to do that. And I'm hoping that our time together tonight will give you a couple of tools and strategies to incorporate into your life that might help you as you are handling stress and uncertainty in your own life, and then therefore able to help your children in a better way. One of my favorite definitions of stress is actually that stress is a feeling of lack of control about something that matters to you. And I like this definition because I feel like it's a very true one, that if you look at whatever's causing you stress, usually there's something you care deeply about underneath that. And I think that it's helpful to recognize that, yes, stress is normal and it's natural, and it's because we care about whatever it is that we're feeling that stress. Maybe it's a job we want to do well, or maybe it's being able to help our children navigate something that we ourselves are navigating. Maybe it's about staying healthy and safe in a time where that doesn't feel like a given. What I know is that we're all feeling very different emotions about this, and many of those emotions may be things we don't really wish to feel. Our feelings might change, secondly, moment to moment, day to day. So maybe you wake up in the morning feeling one way and you could feel a completely different way by 10 a.m. and another way after lunch and a different way before you go to bed. And that's pretty natural right now. And also the third thing I know is that as an adult in your family, you have the job of not only caring for yourself, but also helping your children to navigate their own emotional life, which may resemble a roller coaster right now. And depending on how old your child is, he or she is handling this in their own way. So today, I'm not going to share a PowerPoint with you because we're going to be doing some practice. And so I just want you to be able to tune in to yourself. And we're going to focus on, as Tanya said, mindfulness. We're going to talk about the pillars of wellness. And we're also going to talk about the idea of control. We're going to begin with ourselves and then think about these topics in relation to our children. So launching in. We know that our brains and bodies are complex and fascinating, and looking first at our brain, I'm sure you know that there are certain areas that control different functions that keep us alive and thriving. And there are three main areas that we want to highlight as we talk about dealing with uncertainty. And the first is the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the area of our brain that controls high-level functions like planning, organizing, emotional balance and regulation. And we know that when your prefrontal cortex is in charge and is engaged, generally we feel in control and we feel balanced. So usually we feel like we're able to make decisions, we're able to process information, and things feel pretty settled for us when our prefrontal cortex is engaged. The second area of the brain that we're going to talk about is the amygdala. And the amygdala is like an alarm bell for your brain. It's the area that's responsible for stress reactions, so fight, flight, or freeze. And the third area we're going to focus on is the hippocampus. And the hippocampus is responsible for memory and for learning, which is especially important for your children right now, but it's important for us as well. So we know that stress can inhibit both storing of information and also recalling information. And if you think about a time where you were feeling particularly stressed out, you may look back at that and recognize that you couldn't remember what you were supposed to do next, or you got some important information that you were supposed to be able to process easily and you just couldn't quite figure it out. This can happen across the day, like in a work situation, maybe even with a webinar, you know, is my sound working? Oh no, my internet connection says it's spotty. That throws the amygdala into action and activation. So mindfulness is something that I know I'm seeing that pop up everywhere in the grocery store. I see it highlighted in articles that come across my email and social media sites. It's kind of a hot button topic right now. And the thing about it is that seeing that as somebody who practices that, I know how easy it is to access mindfulness and mindful practices. But for somebody who doesn't know what it is or what it's all about, I feel like it can seem very inaccessible. So one of my goals this evening is to help it become more accessible to you. I don't know what your personal levels are regarding mindfulness, but I'm going to treat it as though it's something that you are learning really for the first time. So mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way. It's paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, and without judgment. And that definition comes from a man named Jon Kabat-Zinn, who brought the concept of mindfulness to his patients who were experiencing chronic pain. And what he found with his studies of the brain was that when the brain, or when the person was feeling stress and the amygdala was activated, when they were asked to bring an attention to their body, either to what they were feeling physically or emotionally or what they were thinking about, the amygdala deactivated. So simply by bringing attention and awareness to the body, emotions, and thoughts completely changed what was happening in the brain. Something so simple, right? So it started in the medical community, mindfulness did. And then it branched out into cognitive behavioral therapy and has been used in that realm for a long time. And now it's in the education realm as well. So depending on where your child goes to school or how old your child is, depending on which district they're in, they may or may not be having some lessons regarding mindfulness in their classroom with their teachers and classmates. So how do the rest of us catch on, and what is it? A mindfulness practice is exactly that. It's a way of thinking about things. It is not a magic bullet. It is not simply, it's not something that you have to change your whole life to do. It is as simple as bringing attention on purpose to the present moment without judgment. That's what it is. And I remember when I was first learning about it, I thought, it really just it can't be that simple, but it actually is. So it doesn't change your stress, it changes your reaction to stress. So if we think about a stressful episode, something that's happening, and here's that stress, very often our reaction is right up against it. Something happens, we react. Mindfulness gives us a chance to put a pause in there. So here's the stressful episode or thing that's happening. And then there's this little space that we create with a mindfulness practice. And then rather than a reaction, we can think of having a response. So you know how when something happens and you just have this gut reaction, that's the way we're wired. That's what we're, how we generally move through our lives. But by taking a breath, by taking a pause, and it can be really almost microscopic in length, so small, we can have a moment to say, okay, all right. And then we can respond rather than react. So mindfulness is not religious. And I do want you to understand that, even though it's something that things like meditation or prayer or taking time out to tune in can be part of your faith practice, no matter what your faith is. Mindfulness itself is not religious. It is not something you can do right or wrong. It simply is. And so one thing I want you to know as well is that even practice done imperfectly still benefits you. And there's really no such thing as perfect practice. So this is not something that you need an hour a day to carve out by yourself. For many people, that's not a possibility. It's not something that you have to be a pro at. As a matter of fact, it might feel pretty lousy sometimes when you're doing it. And it's not something that, it's not just even a strategy or an approach. It's a habit and a practice. So we are going to begin by doing some practice. I want to have you find a spot wherever you are right now, and I want you to just get comfortable. You are welcome to turn your camera off if you wish. You can just listen to my voice. You're welcome to leave your camera on. This is completely up to you. But wherever you are right now, I want you to just relax in your seat. So just take a moment to do that. As you're doing this, I want you to go ahead and allow your eyes to close, or if you don't feel like closing your eyes right now, just take a soft focus and take a deep breath in and let it go. I want you to just take a few breaths right now, normal breaths. And as you are just sitting here doing what you do all the time, I want you to consider that your breath is neutral. It's not a strong emotion. It's not something we really hate or love. It's just there continually, all day, every day. We're breathing in and we're breathing out. And we can really find it anytime we want to. As you're taking your breaths in, I want you to see if you can notice how your feet feel against the surface that they're touching. Moving up your body, how do your legs feel right now? Are they touching? Are they against a surface? What does your seat feel like? Is your back relaxed? Feel the support of wherever it is that you are resting right now. And now I'm going to ask you to see if you can notice where in your body that you feel your breath. As you're feeling the oxygen refresh you with an in-breath, where do you feel that most? Is it your belly? Maybe it's your chest. It might be your throat or your neck. Maybe your mouth or your nose. Notice where it is for you. The place that you feel your breath most obviously is your anchor. So it's the place that you can anchor your attention. So I'm just going to have you sit here and this relaxed position, and just breathe for about a minute, noticing your breath coming in, how it refreshes you, and letting it go. And as you let it go with each exhale, see if some of the tension that you may be carrying from your day can't wash away with it. Go ahead and allow your eyes to open again. And I want you to just tune into yourself for a second and see if you were able to notice where it was that you felt your breath. There is no right or wrong place. Some people really feel their breath in their belly. Other people really feel it in their chest. I happen to feel it most in my chest, but I've had children and adults tell me they feel it most around their face and in their throat and their neck and their nose. Any place is okay. There's no one right place to feel your breath. So that was just tuning into your breath, and simply doing that, even for a minute, can really bring you some relaxation and a chance to kind of let some tension fall away when you can do that. The second area I want to bring your attention to is your feelings and your emotions. So we all feel them, we all have them. Some emotions and feelings are more welcome than others, and we're going to do an exercise with this. So again, I'm going to let you, or have you, ask you to close your eyes, just relax in your spot where you are right now. And I'm going to say a series of words that are describing different feelings or emotions that you may have had. As I say each word, I want you to simply silently acknowledge to yourself whether or not you've experienced this emotion. And I'm going to give you a couple of seconds in between each feeling or emotion that I name so that you can just take a moment to either recall a time that you felt that way, or see if you can't even tune into the way you felt in your body when you had that emotion. Okay? So relaxing where you are right now with your eyes closed. Breath in and breath out. Think of a time where you were happy. Excited. Restless. Weak. Worried. Envious. Angry. Sad. Anxious. Eager. Lonely. Joyful. Peaceful. Curious. Mischievous. Grateful. strong, disappointed, loving, there are many, many feelings that cross our path in our days and in our lives. And right now, as you are in this restful position, I want you to put your hand on your heart and maybe in your lap, your other hand on your belly or in your lap. And I am going to lead us through a brief loving kindness meditation where we're going to offer ourselves some love right now and good thoughts. So I'm going to use some sentences, and as I say them out loud, I'm going to ask you to repeat each statement in your own mind to yourself. May I be healthy and strong. May I be filled with ease. May I be patient and kind. May I be healthy and strong. May I be filled with ease. May I be patient and kind. May I be healthy and strong. May I be filled with ease. May I be patient and kind. Repeat those 3 sentences to yourself at your own natural pace and rhythm. And now I invite you to bring someone to your mind that you love, somebody who makes you happy in your life, somebody that you care about. And I want you to picture that person and repeat these statements for them. May you be healthy and strong. May you be filled with ease. May you be patient and kind. May you be healthy and strong. May you be filled with ease. May you be patient and kind. May you be healthy and strong. May you be filled with ease. May you be patient and kind. Repeat those statements to whoever it is that you're thinking about right now one more time. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and allow your eyes to open. So bringing mindfulness to our emotional selves helps us with resilience, because we really can't avoid feeling all of the things we feel, even if sometimes our feelings come at very inconvenient times and we don't always like when they are arising. So I think of this as one of those punching bags that has sand in the bottom, and it gets knocked down, but then it wobbles back up. And when we get hit with a really big emotion, it can knock us all the way down, and it can take us, depending on what's happened, up, a long time, maybe longer than we want, to be able to bounce back from that. And by bringing just simple awareness to the way we're feeling when we're feeling it, we don't make it go away, but it makes the wobble less extreme. And maybe we come back to balance just a little sooner, simply by acknowledging what's happening to us when it's happening. If you can find that spot. I am angry right now, or I feel really frustrated, or I'm sad. Usually it's the those big emotions that we think of as being negative emotions, but they're really not negative. They're a part of life. They're things that we feel, but they're big emotions and they can be hard to deal with in a given moment. So bringing awareness to our emotions can really help us to find balance and resilience in our lives. The last place that we want to bring our awareness to is our thoughts. So very often, if you do decide that you're going to start a mindfulness practice and you want to, let's say you're going to start with 2 minutes or 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be long, especially as you're starting out. But one thing that can happen is that when you relax and when you finally found a spot or a time that you think you're going to do this, or especially as we're starting out, I think we tend to do this with intention in a way that we know we're not going to be disturbed. Excuse me. And very often what happens is we quiet ourselves, we're in this spot, and all of a sudden we're focusing on our breathing, and then our mind just starts popping up with thoughts. Oh, I forgot that email. Oh, I need to make that appointment. Oh, did I take dinner out of the freezer? Why isn't my son home yet? Where's my wife? When's my husband coming home? Whatever it is. Oh, I've got to schedule this off this time because we're going away. Things that happen, it's very natural for our thoughts to interrupt us when we become still, because that's what we do. We're thinkers. And so this is a technique to try when and if that happens, because it's pretty natural. So when the thought pops up, even just acknowledging, okay, I'm thinking right now, that alone can be helpful as we come back to our breath. But another thing you can do is see if you can assign a category to the thought. So that's in the past. If you forgot to do something, it's already done. That's a past thought. Put it in the past box. I actually picture a box. If it's something that's planning related or future related, put it in the future box. So as each thought pops up, past, future, past, future. And if it's a present thought, like my foot really hurts now that I've gotten quiet and still, I can really feel my body and I'm in pain. Noticing that's a present thought. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a minute, just 1 minute, to practice our breathing. And if thoughts do pop up for you, I want you to just assign them a category, put them in that box, and then come back to your breath. Remembering that there's no right or wrong way to do this, and there's no judgment. Don't have judgment for yourself. So go ahead and relax again into whatever spot you're in and allow your eyes to close. And I'm actually going to set a little timer here. So go ahead, take a deep breath in and letting it go, relax, and just focus on your breath. Bringing an awareness back to your body. You can allow your eyes to open. Maybe wiggle your fingers or your toes. And just check in with yourself about how that went. As I said, mindfulness is paying attention in the present moment on purpose and without judgment. There are all kinds of apps out there. If you are looking for an app to help you start a practice, there are many books and articles. There's all kinds of things out there to support you if you do decide to start a practice of this. But you don't need any of those things either. Just tuning into your breath, even for a couple of breaths, is beneficial to your body. We're going to switch gears now. So We're going to talk about the pillars of wellness. So as you know, we're human beings who do a lot of things. And in order to do all of the things that we are called to do and counted on to do, we have to take care of ourselves. And so another way we can focus on ourselves as beings is to think of 5 pillars of wellness that support us in our daily lives. So I'm going to invite you to consider each pillar as you relate to it and as it relates to you in your life. Again, there's no right or wrong to this. Nobody's going to ask you about it. So this is just for you yourself to just check in and see how you relate to each pillar. So the first pillar is rest. I'm sure that's not surprising. Rest through rejuvenating sleep at night, but also rest during the day. So I want you to think about yourself and your relationship to rest, whether you sleep well, whether you're asleep 30 seconds, maybe after your head hits the pillow, or are you someone who has thoughts going around and around that won't allow you to rest? What does rest look like for you across your day? Do you pause? Do you take breaks, give yourself breaks, or are you going from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed? Rest. The second pillar is nutrition. So I want you to think about the foods and drinks that you consume across your day. Are you somebody who snacks? Are you somebody who forgets to eat? Do you stress eat? Are there foods that you crave or love? Are there foods or drinks that you lean on for support? Maybe caffeine, maybe alcohol. Maybe water is your go-to thing that we all need water, but how much water do you consume across the day? Do you do that intentionally? So think about nutrition. The third pillar is movement. So I want you to think about if you have a habit of movement in your life, it doesn't have to be a formal exercise program, but what does movement look like for you across your day? Do you take walks? Do you stretch? Maybe you do yoga. Maybe you have an exercise routine that's pretty set for yourself. How does movement look for you? The fourth pillar is socialization, which most definitely has been directly affected by COVID-19. So I'm sure socialization for you today looks very different than it did a year ago, but what does it look like for you right now? How is that need being met within you? Are you talking with people on the phone, visiting in backyards, or at work? What does socialization look like for you right now? And the fifth pillar is connection to something bigger. So this might be your faith. It could be your work or an adult role that you have as a caregiver, parent. What is your connection to something bigger? So as I said, these are the pillars that support our healthy living. And I want you to now consider which of those pillars, rest, movement, nutrition, socialization, connection to something bigger, which was your strongest or which is your strongest? And what do you do to sustain that? How does it support your life and make your life better? In other words, what are you doing well? And now, which one is your weakest? Which is an area that you'd like to strengthen? Is it possible that one of your stronger pillars can support one of your weaker pillars? So right now, we're going to make a little mini action plan. I want you to think about one thing that you can do today or tomorrow or even within the next couple of days to strengthen and help yourself with one of those pillars. Once you've picked a pillar that you're going to focus on, and I'll name them again, I want you to just close your eyes and picture yourself doing this one thing and being successful with it. So if your pillar that needs some support is rest, maybe thinking about something you could do to help yourself wind down at the end of the day, or rest during the day. If it's nutrition, maybe it's something that you want to intentionally add or intentionally remove from your day. If it's movement, maybe something that you want to, again, add in to or change about the way you're moving or exercising or stretching. It's socialization. What's something you can do to reach out and be heard and seen? Or if the pillar that you want to strengthen is connection to something bigger, what is it that you could do to connect to something outside of yourself and your immediate family that can do good in this world? So picture yourself doing it, picture yourself being successful with it. And I want you to think right now as you're doing that, what that's going to look like. When can you make that happen for yourself? I want you to see yourself succeeding and being happy about it. Okay, and now you can go ahead and open your eyes. Hopefully you've had some success. The last exercise for us today is around the idea of control. So if I asked you right now to name one thing that is out of your control right now, can you do it? Name one thing that's out of your control to yourself. Can you think of another? And another. I'm imagining that it's pretty easy to think of things that you have no control over because there are so many things that are out of our control right now. And this can cause great stress for us because we like to be in control. Adults are used to being in control, and we're really very good at identifying things that are affecting our ability to be in control. And partly because it's very natural. It's a protective measure to be able to scan your environment and see what is a potential problem. So we're hardwired that way. And yet if that's what we're focusing on and it's causing stress, that means our amygdala is activated. And we're probably not able to access either our hippocampus or our prefrontal cortex. So yes, it's really important to be in control, and we all like to be in control, but we're often, especially right now, not in control. And this leads us to feeling pretty stressed. So this exercise is actually about identifying the things that you are in control of. So right now, I want you to think of one thing that you are in control of. It can be something really simple, like what you eat for dinner, or whether you're going to exercise or move your body this evening, or whether you're going to watch TV or read a book. There are so many things that we're in control of. See if you can name another. And maybe another. Because really, no matter how out of control we are about some things, there are many things that we are in control of. And this is actually a technique that can help us. It's coupled with mindfulness. It helps us to identify those things that calm us down, that we can say, right, I can check that email tomorrow, or I can check it tonight because I really want to, but I don't have to. I'm in control of that. So even identifying just one thing can make a difference to us, and it brings us back to a place of balance, which is really important when we're trying to take care of ourselves. So, because next we're going to talk about your children. So your children are like sponges to our emotions, and they're very aware of how we feel. We may, depending on who you are as a parent and how you parent, and everybody does it differently, maybe you're very transparent with your children about the way you're feeling about things, or maybe you're more protective and you don't want to share how you're feeling about things. But really, regardless of whether you are transparent or protective in nature, your children can soak it all up anyway through the tone of voice, the words you use, your body language, even your eyes carry tension sometimes. And I know my own children, my son said to me, he was learning how to drive, and it was very stressful, and I was trying to be very positive. And I told him he was doing a good job, and he said, Mom, your words say one thing, but your body says something else. And he was totally right. I was like clutching onto the side of the car. I was feeling very stressed out in that moment. And I was not trying to let him know how stressed out I was. And here we are in the middle of this COVID-19 time. And so there are lots of opportunities for us to have these types of interactions. Trust me, your children know how you feel. So this is not about hiding that from them or sharing it with them. It's really about understanding this next little piece about how they might relate to what they are experiencing. So if you have a child that's between 2 and 5 years old, 2 and 5-year-olds, 2 to 5-year-olds, they have a pretty limited concept of time. Their time is about right now. So they're pretty immediate. They're very much in the present. They are curious about physical aspects of things that they see, and they may ask questions, and often the same question over and over and over again. And so just a simple strategy for them would be to keep your responses pretty simple. You don't need to give them too much information. Sometimes I think parents, we can get very wrapped up in saying the right thing, and it's not necessarily about the right thing to say. It's just about giving them a pretty simple answer. And whether that's something like, well, we wear a mask to keep ourselves safe. Well, why do we wear a mask to keep ourselves safe? Because there are some germs right now that we're keeping ourselves safe from. I mean, it can be pretty simple. They'll ask you if they want to know more. But 2 to 5-year-olds are very sensitive to nonverbal communication. So that's something that you might want to keep in mind. And it's okay to let our children know how we feel about things. They just want to feel safe, and they want to know that they're okay and that you're okay. So that's just an important thing, no matter how old your child is. 6 to 9-year-olds, they're at a vulnerable age because they lack the vocabulary sometimes to express their feelings, but they have big feelings, strong feelings, and sometimes they need our permission to feel them. Please remember that you don't need to fix your child's feelings. It's okay for them to feel angry or sad or upset. And even sometimes by helping them name it, we're helping them to, this kind of goes back to the idea of mindfulness, to just identify how they're feeling. And you can ask them, are you feeling sad right now? And if they'll tell you, no, I am not sad. Okay, do you know how you're feeling? They may be able to tell you and they may not. And maybe they don't want to talk about it, and that's fine too. They are developing a perspective of time. So all of these things that are happening right now feel very, very long to them. It feels long to me too, to be truthful. But this probably feels like forever. And you can think about when you were a child and it was summertime and how the summer seemed so long, and now they seem to fly by. That's because they're in that perspective of long time, and it's still developing for them. 9 to 12-year-olds may be developing on physical details of COVID. They want to understand the why and the how to make sense of it. They're like little scientists. So 9 to 12-year-olds can verbalize their feelings, but they often choose not to. They might need your encouragement just to check in with them about how they're feeling. They have a short attention span. So they might drop in for a conversation with you about something or a question, and then they may dash off just as you're getting warmed up. We don't have to have too many words for them. So don't feel the pressure to have every answer. A lot of it's about finding a place to get the answers, or even just letting them ask the questions that they have and acknowledging that they're great questions. 13 to 18-year-olds have more of an adult understanding of what's going on in the world right now. They can express their feelings, and often they won't. They can be pretty philosophical about matters of life and death, and they may appear to be coping well when maybe they're not. So that's something to just know, that it's important to check in with your teenagers and make sure that they are okay, because sometimes they keep it all hidden away. And they may cope by diving into activities that have served them as stress relievers in the past, but sometimes they can get out of balance with it. So helping them identify balance in their lives is important too. They're often socializing via social media because that's the easiest way to do it right now. And that's something to pay attention to. So really, no matter how old your child is or how they are approaching what's going on right now, there are primary needs that we can address. So emotionally, we want to listen to them. We want to be careful in our listening and active in our listening. We want to acknowledge how they feel and just validate it. We don't, as I said, you don't have to fix it. Don't have to change it. Just see it and hear it. we can receive the information that they're having and just, like I said, have an acceptance of it. And sometimes it can help to reframe if something can be reframed by finding something good. Is there anything we can do to make it better? And just identifying that, I don't know if you can do that. Just identifying it can be helpful. You don't have to have the right words, just be there. And think about emotions that are like clouds across the sky. So our children are like that too. Just like we have emotions that change across the day, so do they. And helping them stay away from all or nothing thinking, because sometimes children can especially fall into that mindset of, this is impossible and I can't do it. Reframing that to, this feels hard right now. Maybe not forever, but for right now, yes. I can't do this. You can't do this yet. We're all learning and changing. We're all trying to cope with this, especially as things are changing with schools. Whether your child's been at home and now they're going to school, or whether your child's been at school and now they're at home, there's a lot of changeability, and that causes stress. So helping them find balance in all those ways we just talked about. Whether it's having them tune into their breath, starting a mindfulness practice with them if you think that they'd be receptive to that, or even just, allowing them to feel their breath in their body, naming their emotions, acknowledging their thoughts, thinking about the pillars of wellness as they relate to them. If you have a child that is suddenly not moving much and they're just planted on the couch, making it a point to make sure that they're getting out and getting some movement into their day. Or maybe it's a nutrition that needs to be brought back into balance. So we've talked about a lot of things today. There are a couple of other things to help your children physically. Having a schedule, some structure and routines. Our children thrive on that. And it doesn't have to be a rigid, unbending thing, but knowing that there is a schedule. There's a time that I get up. There's a time that I need to be dressed, whether I'm going to school or not. There's a time that I'm going to be doing my work. Having a schedule is helpful. And also scheduling breaks. If your child's doing virtual learning and they're getting a half an hour for lunch and the rest of the time they're online, then you're going to need to schedule some downtime for them later. So having that be transparent is helpful. Also having routines for where you put this thing, how you are going to respond to emails, those kinds of things that our kids are not always very good at, but we can help them determine that and create it. And mentally, giving them as much control as you feel comfortable giving them. So maybe insisting you do need to get out of your pajamas and put clothes on today, but you can wear whatever you want to wear when you go to that Zoom meeting, or giving them control about the snacks that they have, or the breaks that they're going to take, or the fun things you're going to do, and having something to look forward to. All of those things are supportive no matter what, no matter how old your child is. So we've talked about a lot, as I said, and I want to open this up to questions. I want to make sure that you have some time for questions. I hope that you have felt that this has brought you some things to think about with bringing mindful awareness to your body, your emotions, and your thoughts. Paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment, knowing that it really is okay. You don't have to do it for long to feel the benefits. Finding balance in your pillars of wellness: rest, nutrition, movement, socialization, connection to something bigger, and finding those things that you are in control of. I do want to leave you with one last image before we head into questions. And so this is a rubber band. Actually, I have a couple of rubber bands here. Maybe this one's better to see. Okay, so rubber bands are very naturally resilient. They stretch, they go right back to their natural shape without any effort at all. If it's stretched and I wanted to stretch further, I don't have as far as I can go. I can't go as far as I could if it were already relaxed. So if I'm already stretched, I can only go so much further. And if I stretch that to its limit, eventually this rubber band is going to break, Or if I hold it like this for a long time, it's going to lose its resilience. We are like rubber bands as human beings. So finding balance, giving ourselves a break, finding ways to take care of ourselves, allow us to maintain our resilience. All of these things can help during times of stress and uncertainty. So I want to open it up to you. Any questions from anyone?
Liz,
Anything that would be helpful?
I'm going to open up the chat in case anybody has anything in there. I think you can see it on your end too, but I mean, your expertise is just so amazing. And, you know, everything you said has so much truth behind it. And it's a lot for us as participants to take home and think about and really let these tools sink in. That is incredibly valuable. And I just wanted to let everybody know that we will be sending out the recording. So if you want to watch this over, feel free to do that. You can watch it as many times as you need because, you know, like I said, Liz always has a lot of tools to give you. And I think it's important to find out which tools work best for you.
And I have to say this while people are writing in if they have anything that they want to ask. I don't use these techniques for any other reason than I absolutely need them. I would love to tell you that as somebody who does practice mindfulness all the time across my day, I need it. And it helps me a lot when I say, oh, right. You know, I'm on my way to work. I thought I left with plenty of time, and no, there's a tractor in front of me and it's going 10 miles an hour instead of the 35 or 40 that I should be going. And now I'm going to be late. I mean, we all, just as adults, we have so many things. And it's really about not changing the stress, but changing our reaction to it so that it doesn't have to derail the whole rest of your day or your interactions with others. So I think being kind to yourself is number one important. Having no judgment for whatever you're thinking, feeling, or experiencing in your body, just noticing it and taking good care of yourselves, reaching out to one another and not being afraid to say, I need some help with this. Those are the things that really make all the difference during these tough days.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Liz. I am going to sign off if we do not have any questions. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and I wish you a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.